Hi to another video of the Big Data module inside the Digital Transformation course. Today we are continuing the lesson 2 about the ETL. Okay, today we will be focusing on the load step and some other variations and methodologies that you need to know. Okay, as you would remember in the first video of this lesson, we discovered what's ETL and we focused on the first two phases, extract and transform data. And also we had a brief overview about the clean semi-step or semi-phase between extract and transform. Okay. Today we are focusing on the load part. Okay. So loading, it's the final stage, as you know, ETL. So EL is from load, where we um, transfer that data that we have previously extracted and transformed. Here we are loading it to a data warehouse or a data lake where we are having all of the information consolidated, structured, organized, and prepared to be analyzed. Okay. Well, we have three different modes of loading that data. Okay. The first one is it's batch loading. Okay, so we load data sets in batches. Okay, so we are transferring large volumes of data at scheduled times. They can be hourly, every minute, every second, every day, every month, every week. Depends on what you want. Okay, and it's ideal for when you want to do a load or high volume data sets where you don't need real time reaction or updates. Okay, so if your demand and your stocks, for example, are quite stable, um, you can have like a scheduled time of loading in a daily basis would be will not make a difference. Okay, but if you if you are working as a broker, for example, or a trader, which is trading with raw materials that they are increasing or decreasing the prices during the day, sometimes even in minutes or in seconds, they are moving out or up or down. You need real time data accessibility or fresh data or okay, so you will go to real time or streaming, okay, where continuously that program is loading data as it's generated. Okay, so you have immediate access and real time analytics to take the best decisions. Okay, so for purchasing departments, traders, brokers, or some areas where you need to have real time data, real time streaming would be the best load mode to deploy. Okay, and then there is some mix or some hybrid solution, which is the micro batch ingestion. Okay, so it's transferring batches, but small ones or micro packages of data, and it's processing that in real time. Okay, so it's sending small batches at short intervals, balancing the system performance, okay, and the freshness of data, because batch loading is the better for system performance because it consumes less resources, okay? But you are lacking or you are missing the power of real-time data, okay? So this is an intermediate model, which is micro batch ingestion that is quite interesting to deploy, okay? But it's very important, as we said in the first module during the second lesson, where we talked about the business strategy. We need to understand the business model where we are working, okay? in order to decide which of these modes is the more convenient for the company. Okay? And even inside the same company, we can have different strategies or different modes of loading to work. Okay? For example, the finances department in a retailer company needs almost real-time data to see how during the day is the operations flowing and the finances, how it's uh, how it's the money flowing, okay, and how many revenues, profits, and all of that. But for example, I don't know, the marketing department can have daily reports from Instagram and LinkedIn from their visits. I would not. It's an example. Okay, maybe they need also real time data if they are doing a campaign focused on just one day. Okay, but depending on the case, the department, and the people where you are working and their needs, you will combine different modes of loading depending on the specific needs of that department of that person. Okay. Well, let's continue. ETL, as said before, it's extract, transform, load. Okay, but there are other approach which is quite similar, but there are some differences. Okay, ELT, okay, where we load before transforming. Okay, there are some platforms that allow you to transform the the data. Okay, so in the ETL, you transform the data before arriving to the target system or the platform where you are going to load and analyze. Okay, so you can use it for complex and multi-source transformations before loading. You can use Informatica, Talent, or other tools that we said before. Okay, but in ELT, we load the raw data directly into the target system. Okay, and we use the processing power of the destination to perform the transformations. Okay, so if we want scalability and cloud native efficiency, we would opt for an ELT. Okay, let's see some differences and the basis of each one. Okay, in the ETL, as we said, we extract from several applications, data sets, and several online applications, APIs. Okay, we transform and then we load it into a data warehouse. Okay, where we are processing structured information. Okay? What about if we are dealing with unstructured, semi-structured, unstructured data? Okay, and we are working in a more chaotic environment with several data sources in several formats. We would opt for an ELT, okay, where there is, instead of a data warehouse, we would use a data lake. Okay, we will see the differences in the following slides, where you extract that data, load it directly to the data lake, and then transform it from there. Okay. Here it's important to remember that in databases that we were seeing that during the fifth module, during the fifth lesson of the first module of digitalization, where we discovered databases and the different types, we talked about SQL and NoSQL. Okay, the SQL would be related to data warehouse, and NoSQL would be related to data lake. Okay. Well, what's a data warehouse? It's a centralized repository for analytical queries and reporting based on structured data. Okay, so the key aspects is that we store fully transformed and previously clean data, and it supports operations, dashboards, and business KPIs where we have structured data sets. Okay, some tips or recommendations. It's important to design facts, okay, and dimension tables with snowflakes schemas, okay, to see the different relationships and the dimension tables are stable, so you are updated, but they are like more stable. And design facts are like the movements that are changing and they are related with the dimension tables. Okay, so we should prepare the snowflake or star schema. Okay, and then we could schedule the incremental updates to avoid full reloads. Okay, as you would remember when we talked about the loads. Sorry, the loads, not the extraction. We talked about incremental extraction in the previous lesson. Okay, so it would be recommended to opt for incremental updates to avoid full loads. Some tools that you can use are Snowflake, Azure, Synapse Analytics, Google BigQuery, or Amazon Redshift. As you would notice, during the whole module, we are talking about Microsoft solutions, Google solutions, Amazon solutions, and Apache solutions, okay? Well, what's data lake? Data lake is centralized, like the data warehouse, but this is a scalable repository, okay? This is scalable and it can grow with you, your needs. It's used to store raw data directly without being transformed previously. It can handle both semi-structured, structured, and unstructured data, okay, in its native format without being processed previously. Okay, so in ELT workflows used in big data architectures, we would use data lakes. Okay, business intelligence or analytics, we would use the data warehouses. But if we want to extract the more power to the big data framework and architectures, we would use the data lake model. Okay, data lake serves as a staging area for raw data waiting to be processed. Okay, it supports exploratory analysis, enables multiple transformations in the same place, and some recommendations are to organize data using some partitions, space partitions, okay, directories to organize it by types, and also tag them by metadata so you can target and access faster the information, okay? And also for sure implement security and lifecycle policies. Okay? Well, another concept which is very important here it's a query. Okay, a querying is a process of retrieving insights from prepared data using some languages or using visualization platforms. Okay, so this is the last step of the ETL pipeline. It's we have transferred the data, we have loaded it, and with the query, it's where we start acting for that science, business intelligence, or monitoring parameters. Okay, so tools that we can use for Power BI, Tableau, Qlik, Looker, Apache Superset, and other tool. It's Power Query, which you can use it with Excel and also inside Power BI to target information in a data set, extract it, and do some operations. Okay, and it's important to you that you learn if you would like to be a big data professional in the future. You would learn about SQL, okay, which is the language used for standard querying. Then, if you are familiarized or you would like to learn more about Power BI, it's important to learn both Power Query and DAX. Okay, DAX it's the language to do some of the calculations and so and all of the expressions with the data. And then there are MDX for OLAP. Okay, now we are seeing what's OLAP. Okay, OLAP it's online analytical processing. It's a technology that allows analyzing large data sets from multiple perspectives using cubes, okay, multidimensional views of data. Well, it allows you to fast aggregate and slice operations. Then it allows also pivoting, filtering, rollup, several operations. And there are three different types: MOLAP, multidimensional, relational, or hybrid. Okay, and the most used tools are SQL Server Analysis Service, Apache Clean, and SAP Business Information Warehouse. Thanks.